the message that I want to get across this evening is you have much more control over your life than you realise. And the way I want to demonstrate that is to go right back to the beginning of life, because then, even before you could speak, you had more control over your life than you realised. Which means that you have, even today, a greater level of control over your life, over your behaviour, than you can sometimes think. And the reason I say that is because when we come into the world, it's our job as infants, as babies, as human beings, to have our needs met. Now, those needs are very simple at the beginning of life. Food, shelter, warmth, love, attention, that kind of thing. And we are beautifully equipped to have those needs met, even though we seem helpless as babies, newborn babies. We have one of the best tools that you could possibly wish for when you arrive on this planet. And that is... Anybody?
Crying.
Yeah.
Noise.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because as soon as you do that, as soon as you start crying, people come and attend to your every desire. They're desperate to make you happy. They're desperate to make the crying go away. Now that's very powerful, and that sense of control that we have, we don't realise it obviously, but we have that. We have that ability to manipulate our environment, those people around us, to get what we want. And we always have that ability. Now the thing that happens is, even before we've started speaking, we've started to work out strategies for how we're going to get our needs met. We determine how we're going to live our life before the age of 7. We've already made up our minds. We've already worked out what strategies we're going to use, whether we're going to be, in general terms, a victim or a rescuer, whether we're going to be strong or weak, whether we're going to be manipulative or whether we're going to be straight with those people around us. We've made up our mind about how we're going to live our life and get our needs met before the age of 7, which sounds preposterous, really. That's difficult to believe, but it's true, and the more you think about it, the more it makes sense, because as soon as you've made those decisions, and I'll give you a bit of context in a moment when I come to tell you a little bit about my patterns. But as soon as you realise that that's the case, then you can look back and see that you've been doing the same things over and over and over and over again. And that's what we're here to talk about, is those patterns, those strategies that you've developed over time that have been all about you, together with your environment. Obviously your parents, your family, your teachers, your upbringing has an influence on you, but you have much more responsibility than you realise at that point, much more control than you realise at that point. And you are making decisions for how you're going to live your life that you're living out now, even now, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. So the work that I do as a coach is really just make people aware of those patterns. Why is it you do the things you do? Are you aware that you do the things you do? So my pattern, one of my biggest patterns, was to get myself looked after. I had an emergency operation when I was 1 year old. I had a tracheotomy, couldn't breathe, and the doctor saved my life, and I had all the attention I could possibly wish for. I had all the ice cream I could wish for. All I had to, again, it wasn't a strategy at that point. But there's, at some level, even a 1 year old can work out that when he coughs and people bring him ice cream or attention or more love than his big brother, there's a correlation, there's a connection that you can make there. And if I make the connection that if I'm ill, I get that love, I get that attention, then is it too difficult to believe that that's what I did again and again and again? No, I wasn't chronically ill. I lived a normal life, but I had a few injuries. I've been in hospital a few times. I've had a few operations, and every single time, people have been there to look after me. And it was only when I started working with the guy in this book, the therapist guy, and most of you know about this, so I'm not going to go into details about that, but he said to me, you need to stand on your own 2 feet, because as things stand, you're getting people to look after you. And I thought, he's right. I can quite easily get people to look after me. I can quite easily play that role and have people look after me, because not only, let's call me a victim in this particular situation, not only do I exist as a victim, just as many other people see themselves as victims, there are also rescuers out there. Hundreds of them, thousands of them. Because that's the decision that they've made. That's the strategy that they've taken up on for their life. So these rescuers and these victims, they find each other very easily. One will look after the other, and they'll be happy. But actually, where does it get them? Awareness, which is what this work is all about as far as I'm concerned. As soon as you become aware of your behaviour, it starts to shift. And that's all you need to do. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but that's half the work, let's put it that way. Becoming aware of how you behave is half the battle. Because most of the time we're behaving in the same old ways that we've been behaving all the time, and they're effective. They've got us what we wanted. Why should we change the strategy? Because there are many other ways for it not to work. The way we've lived our lives so far has been effective. But it may not be, in answer to your question, it may not be the best strategy for us. There may be a better one. And that's all that I'm saying here is, okay, look at the way you do things now and ask yourself, is that the best way? Is there another way? Look around you, look to people you respect, people you trust, people you look up to. Look how effective people are in their environments. How do they do it? How you feel, just as I said at the beginning, whatever comes to mind, take it. Because your mind, your body, your existence is telling you what you need to know. Listen to your body. Listen to how your behaviour makes you feel. And the answers are there. Because I'm not here tonight to give anybody any answers. You have all the answers. All I'm doing is prompting you to look, prompting you to reflect. And that's what my work is all about with clients, but also with myself. That's what this book has all been about, is looking at myself, looking at how I do things and asking, is that the best way? Is there another way? Why do I do it that way? And fear of rejection is one thing, and habit. Because I can always find somebody to rescue me. They're out there. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. You can do that. Because people will rescue you. People will do that. But again, it's all about whether you want to continue doing that thing. And for me, it was very severe. I've had knee operations, back operations, hip operations, all sorts. And you can say, yeah, but that's probably just a coincidence. Maybe. But if somebody's saying to me, you stand on your own 2 feet and you don't have to go to hospital again, I'll do that. I'll try that way. And it's working out so far. I'm in better condition than I've been in for 20 years. And nobody's looking after me. It's great. And then I can have a straight relationship with people, a direct relationship with people, rather than being a game player. Yeah. So we devised these strategies very early on. For those who are interested in the TA, the transactional analysis side of it, it's called script. And script is all about those strategies that we decide upon very early in life And once they're decided, we just go on repeating them again and again and again. But they're not set in stone, so you can change things. You can change your script, you can change your patterns. It all comes down to being aware of how you do things, seeing more clearly the way you behave. And there are so many different occasions each day where you can observe your interaction, observe your behaviour, observe the way you go about things. And if you're in a situation where you're with somebody you trust, you can ask for their feedback and then listen to it. Listen to what they say. Don't dismiss it, even if it's embarrassing. Don't run away from it, you've asked for it. And all they're showing you is your patterns. That's it. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just the way it is. Then you make a decision on whether you want to hang on to it. Maybe you're happy that way, that's fine. Everybody's different. It comes down to you. You're responsible for your own behaviour.